We're now gonna open up the November 14th Board of Health meeting. Catherine's on attendance, Matt's on attendance, and we have Jonathan Sanborn on the speakerphone. First item up for business is gonna be the acceptance of the prior minute minutes for October 24th, 2023.
I make a motion to accept the minutes on October 24th, 2023.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John, just hold on 1 second, please.
Sure.
Were you able to check to see if he can vote on the phone conference?
She didn't get back to me, so.
So, John, I want to ask you a question here. So, we're not 100% positive that you can or cannot vote on a teleconference on the phone.
Okay.
Jim and I discussed it today, and he was trying to reach out to Cheryl Sbarra from town council, from the state council,
Right.
to get clarification. And what happened? She didn't get back to you?
She didn't get back to me.
So
Must be on vacation.
at this moment, John, we don't know if it's legal or not legal. My opinion is it would be legal because it's obviously you, and after the fact, you could say, yes, I was on the phone.
Right.
But Jim mentioned something about after COVID, there may or may not have been a conversation about voting. Hold on, Jim's gonna go double check on that, because I just want to get it right, John, because I don't want to, if you're allowed to vote, then obviously we want the vote. If you're not allowed to vote, we want to know that, and maybe table discussions or whatever till you're back.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
So.
You would think with COVID though that they would have made accommodations for it, and those haven't been going away. I'm not saying we should go off that, but.
Yeah, so, and I agree with you, but Jim said something about the opposite of that with COVID.
Really?
But yeah, we were talking about it today. So, we're on hold for a minute, John.
They're still allowing people to attend virtually to meetings, and I believe, I mean, I've seen Conservation Commission and commission members that have voted over
Via
Zoom,
Yes.
via
Yeah,
Zoom.
I've seen Zoom and Teams.
Yeah.
I don't know about the phone.
I know, like to me, if John votes and he says John Sanborn, aye, or yes or no, whatever the vote may be, he identifies himself, it's him on the phone, we already called it out that he's on the phone. I can't see how it's not legal, but
I can't
Jim,
either.
yeah, but Jim said something about the language, so he reached out to Cheryl Sbarra to get confirmation on that, but she didn't get back to him. So I think he just went down and he's gonna maybe check with Andrew or
Clerk.
Okay.
with who? Oh, he's gonna check with the town clerk.
Okay. So we are probably gonna vote on a few different things. One for sure tonight.
Well, we just voted on the minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, besides that.
Yeah, besides that, so that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's worth getting the the information straight, because if not, if we have to table it, John, till you're back, I'm good with that. That's fine with me.
Yeah. What would happen, Matt, if we were all three of us were in agreement and my vote didn't count? I mean, for the record, we would say that John voted, with the other two members.
But we only counted these two.
So to pass this, and then at some point after tonight, we hear legally that, well, he can't do that on the phone, but it would still be a two-person voting for it. Then you would think it would still be legal. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that situation would be a moot point, because we'd still, if the three of us voted the same way and then one of the votes didn't count, the majority would still take it.
Right, okay. Yeah, so the reason why I'm bringing that up is because if we don't have an answer prior to a vote needing to be taken, and we take the vote, I just don't want to table it and hold something up.
I think
And
we
I
can,
don't care if my vote counts or doesn't. but at least would have the opportunity, if you two are in agreement, then we'd go with it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, well, Jim's back, he's got some information.
As long as we announce that there's a quorum,
Yep.
and he isn't not here to make the quorum, and then we announce that he's remotely participating when the meeting started, he can vote.
Okay, all right, so, John, you good to go?
Yeah,
Again,
good, thank you.
for all that are watching on home or whatever, we have the quorum, 2 people present, and we have the chair on the phone remotely who is allowed to vote. And that's good because we just voted on the minutes of the October 24th, and that passed unanimous. So, moving on with that, you can sign that
Yep.
as well. We're gonna move on to new business, and we're gonna look for discussion on a variance to encompass all of Phase 3 Jennings Road for the state mandated 10-foot from property line to well. So with that being said, Seth's in attendance with us. I'll turn it over to him, and he can tell us what he's got going on.
Well, good evening, and thank you for hearing me tonight. Basically, what I'm here is I'm asking for relief from the town's 25-foot offset from a property line to a well, and to go to the state mandated 10 feet off of the property line to the well for Phase 3 of the Jennings development. And specifically for tonight, for the purposes of discussion tonight, I'd like to bring up specifically lots 55, 54, and 53. But really, this was done initially under a flexible development subdivision, which allowed us to do relatively smaller lots and allowed the town to keep open space. So there's like 50 acres of open space with this development. In reducing the lot sizes down to the minimum frontages and minimum lot sizes allowed under the subdivision bylaw for flexible development, when you start taking into account, in Jennings Road in particular, the slopes of the lots themselves, were kind of pigeonholed up into the front of those lots. And the additional 15 feet, whereas with a normal development, it wouldn't matter. That additional 15 feet in this particular instance does have a lot of bearing on placement of the septic systems. It wouldn't necessarily make it so that we couldn't put the septic systems on, it's just making it so that we would have to take down more trees, we'd have more fill, we'd have more, it would just kind of potentially destroy some of the nature that's on the back sides of these lots. So coming in and I'm asking for, specifically for this Phase 3, because those are the lots that are really impacted by it right now. I'm asking for that state mandated 10-foot offset as opposed to the town mandated 25-foot offset.
Okay. What lots did you say, 52, 3, and 4?
53, 54, and 55.
54 and 55. So right now, the street is, the wells would be like 10 feet from the street or wherever that lot line's gonna be.
Okay, the 10 feet from the street we're talking about is not 10 feet from the pavement.
Okay,
We're talking about 10 feet from the right-of-way.
okay,
So the pavement is typically in another 10 feet or so from you basically have 20 to 25 feet off of the edge of what is considered to be the road, where
Okay.
people are walking, where cars are going, those sorts of things. So you do have an effective offset of 20 to 25 feet.
we'd have 20 to 25 feet. Let's just say, let's use the center of the road for a barren.
Okay?
Now we're talking like 30 or 35 feet from the center of the road-ish.
It's a 40-foot right-of-way, so we'd be looking at 30 feet. If we hold the state mandated 10 feet, we're looking at 30 feet to the center of that right-of-way.
Okay. So I am looking at, I'm opening up lot 53. Thank you for giving me this. So I'm gonna turn this, if you don't mind, so we can see it. So John, basically, we're opened up one of the lots. Seth is requesting lot 53, and we're looking at it from a bird's eye view on print.
Okay?
So you have Jennings Road, and so Jennings Road's on the low side of the slope.
It's actually on the high side of the slope. There, on this side
So
here.
this goes down into the
Yeah, so
woods.
this is sloping down this way.
Okay.
This is
I
a
see it.
drainage easement here,
Wetlands.
wetlands here.
Okay,
That's the edge of pavement. This is an approximate edge of pavement. To be honest with you, this is not, hasn't been field located, but we know it's within
yep.
a couple feet of where it is on that pavement.
And then the proposed well from
Yes,
here to here
is 10.
would be the 10
That would be the
proposed-
10 feet. I
proposed
believe
10.
that's actually, I held 12 feet on that, but I'd have to look at it with a scale.
Okay, and then from here to the closest point here, we got the 100.
Yes.
Okay, so John, he's still got a 100-foot radius from the from the leach system,
So
leach field.
We're looking at actually a little bit more than 100 feet, maybe 105.
Okay. Now it makes sense. I thought, geez, why do we have to do the reduced number of feet? But I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, we're cramming everything in on the roadside, especially on these lots, because we've got wetland and a detention pond behind it,
Right.
behind
Yeah.
these lots.
So I ran into this once up on Boucher Road too, and what it is the leach field itself is on a slope that heads downhill.
Yes.
So the further you go downhill, you're chasing groundwater elevation, your footprint becomes larger and larger because you have to build up with your berms and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
So I understand why it's needed.
Yeah, I understand too. So normally, Seth, I believe what you'd be doing is you'd be putting, if it was a level lot, you'd be putting the leach field further towards the back of the lot. You'd still be 100 foot from the well. But in this case, we want to bring it further towards where the house and the street would be.
Right.
So yeah, I can picture all this in my mind very well. Okay, I'm good so far. Go ahead.
So to me, the well's not the problem. The well's only a problem because he's got the 100-foot rule because it's new construction. He can move the well back 10 feet and be fine. The idea, the whole reason behind it is it keeps that leach field closer to the street, closer to the backyard, so they don't have to keep chasing it down the hill.
Right, and you're further away from the wetlands too.
And the septic does stay further away from the wetlands, correct?
Right. Yep. All
Just-
makes sense.
So I'm just looking at it, what is this, 50? Is this the 50?
This is the 50, this is the 100.
This would be the 100.
But this dash line right here
Yeah.
is the beginning of the detention pond area. You get a swale that's coming through here.
So
This
there's a
is
swale
This
in
is
the
all
pond.
on an easement, so we can't have the septic in the drainage easement
Right.
too. You start whittling down the spots on these lots that you can do anything, and we've got offsets to wetlands and offsets to this and offsets to that, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, very limited areas.
So right here starts at there's a detention pond here?
It's, the pond is actually on lot 55,
But
but
this
this
starts the
is, it
slope.
starts the swale
Catching
there.
the swale, getting it.
Thank you.
All right, so right now, John, on the table, we have 53 opened up. Jim, do you have any comments on it, Gilbert?
No, it's clear that I looked at it, but I thought we didn't have the plan, you said.
I just printed one up. Seth has not provided them to us, but I have it on PDF and I printed it.
Seth, did you bring your plans with you?
I did not,
Okay.
sorry.
No, we haven't.
I would have had it, had I not, I'm sorry about that, I didn't realize that they weren't in here.
No, I think, to be honest, it's probably the safer way to stay away from the wetlands. And the well, how deep is the well?
Those wells are going, I think, somewhere around 300 feet.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
It depends on the lot, though, you know, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
say for sure, but I think they're averaging somewhere around 300.
It'd be nice if they all averaged 300.
Yeah, yeah.
Till it doesn't. So,
I don't see an issue.
I don't see an issue. I'm okay with it. John, I don't know, do you have any comments?
No, I don't have any seems to make a sense for everything all the way around, so no issues.
All right, so, Catherine, do you have any comments?
Nope.
So, what I think we should do is, right now we have 53 out in front of us. I think we should vote on 53, and I'm pretty certain 54 and 55 are gonna follow suit, but let's take them as they come. So, do I hear a motion to accept the variance on lot number 53 for Jennings Road?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposed offset, reduced deep for the well for lot 53 on Jennings Road.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that was unanimous, 53 is passed. I'm gonna move on to another one.
Thanks, sir.
So, in front of me right now, John, I am going to open up lot 54. So, John, this lot is side by side, right next to 53. It's on the same side of the street.
Okay?
And the well location, again, looks like it's in a similar spot from the street, probably 30-something feet from the center line of the street, but certainly the 10-foot minimum from the edge of the easement.
Right.
It looks like the same thing. It's basically mirror image of the lot that we just did. He's gonna catch that 100-foot radius by the corner of the leach field. That clears by not a lot, so this leach field is as tight as it can be to the house. And then the same thing, by dragging this in, he's again staying further away from the wetlands. And then it gets even tighter because now there's a detention pond in there. The last lot was the beginning of the swale. Now, as we get into it, the swale is getting wider and wider. So I'm seeing a similar picture. What do you have, 40 mil? Poly on
That's
this?
actually gonna be a retaining wall there.
You're gonna put a wall there?
Yeah, some kind.
Do you have 40 mil
We have 40
going
mil
in?
right there, yep, we got 40 mil, 5 feet off, and then it slopes down at a 3-to-1 till, this will end up being probably boulders.
Okay.
They've got a lot of material on
Yeah.
site. This one did not require
The 40 mil?
It didn't require a retaining wall, but it has a 40 mil barrier.
It's got the
So
40 mil.
Most of them do because of the slopes that
Yeah.
are out there.
Okay. So, Catherine, you have any questions or comments on this one?
No.
John, do you have any questions or concerns on lot 54? I believe it's a mirror image of what we're looking at. I don't see any issues myself.
Yeah, no concerns or issues.
So do we have, somebody want to make a motion to accept lot 54 at Jennings Drive?
I'll make a motion to accept lot 54 with the variance for Jennings Road.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So lot 54 passed unanimous. And 55, thank you.
55 is a little different.
Okay. Alright, so now we're on 55. Is this lot 54?
That's 54 right there, yep.
Okay, so John,
This is the continuation of that swale and it's coming out to the pond.
okay, so we're on lot 55, same side of the street, right next to 54.
The well is actually, on this one, is on the other side of the pond.
Oh, that's right. you opened it.
But
okay.
it's 15 feet off of the road right of way for Brookfield Road, but it's more than 25 feet off the pavement.
So it's 15 feet off of the easement,
Off of the road right of way, yep.
Right of way.
Yep.
but
And-
it's 25 feet-ish from the pavement.
Right, and I just wanna be very clear on this one, the reason why I'm requesting the 15 foot as opposed to the 25, cause it looks like you have a lot more space there, but there's also a 25 foot no disturb zone with conservation that they like. It's kind of non-binding, but it's one of those things that you try to, you know, keep. That's what I try to keep that 25 foot. And you're not gonna have to take a bunch of trees down there, you know?
In this spot now,
In that spot, it's already
cleared.
cleared, so.
And then, just, are there any septics within 100 feet of
No
this?
way.
No way, right?
Nothing. Yeah.
Across the street, is that still part of the field, or we can start getting into houses?
I mean, there are houses, but they're
Way
way
down.
back,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, so John, what we're looking at now is, basically, this looks like the corner lot. It's the last lot on the same side of the street, and there's gonna be, the septic system is in the front of the yard, and the well is gonna be in the back. It looks like it's at least a couple 100 feet or so.
Probably 250, yeah.
250
Yeah.
feet from the septic system. Excuse me, it's way down, but the well itself is proposed off of Brookfield Road, surrounded by wetlands down in that area, so that's why the septic system isn't down there. And then between the well and the house is the meat and potatoes of that detention pond that we were kind of chasing on the first two lots.
Okay?
Um,
The well would be, if you've got, coming from the street, you got the septic system, then the house,
Then the pond.
and
Then
then
the-
the well at the back of the lot.
Yes, correct.
Correct, in the very back of the lot, which
Okay,
this particular lot is the corner lot for Brookfield Road and Jennings Road.
yeah, sure, I know, I can picture that because I drive by it all the time.
So what he has proposed is on that one, 15 feet from the edge of the right of way, which is more than 25 feet from the edge of pavement, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I'm good with this one too. I don't have any concerns. Catherine, do you
No.
have any concerns? John, do you have any concerns with this one?
No, no concerns, thank you.
Jim, you see a problem?
None, I think he's doing the safe, thing and keep the septic away from the wetlands and adhering to, which is not mandatory, like you said, but keeping that 25 feet away from him.
Yeah. You always,
And satisfying conservation, because
always
we
keep
like
it
to
We
safe.
like to do that. Yeah, we like to do that.
we like
Yeah.
to do that.
So with that being said, could we get a motion for lot number 55 to accept the proposed variance?
I'll make a motion to accept lot 55 with the variance for the well.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. So lot 55 passed unanimous.
Very good.
So,
So, I guess all of this having been said, is, do you guys, would you feel comfortable with allowing me to go 10 feet off of whatever property lines I need to for the remainder of the lots in phase 3, knowing that there's probably only gonna be a handful of them that we're gonna have to do that for? Would you like me to come back and discuss them with you each time?
yeah, so I think, and John, you're the chair, you can speak to it unless you want me to act as chair right now.
Now, go ahead, Matt, I kind of relinquished chairmanship for this meeting to you.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Okay, so, we definitely wanna take it on a case-by-case basis.
I understand.
And
Yep.
on your design, do everything you can to stay in full compliance the whole way through.
I will do that.
If you come into a situation like these where you're showing a hardship and we agree and accept it, then the board would probably, vote favorably for these. But we don't wanna just blanket it and say, yeah, go ahead and do what you want.
I understand.
You know what I'm
Yep,
saying?
I
We're
absolutely-
like conservation, we want that 25
No,
foot buffer.
I understand the
Yeah.
purview that you have there, you gotta,
Yeah.
and
So,
fully respect that.
not saying yes, not saying no, we have to see it on paper before the board can really make a decision on it.
Okay,
But yeah, do what you can to try and keep them as like, there's a big difference between 10 feet and 12 feet, not in reality, but on paper, right?
Right,
So,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean, 20%, whatever it is, so.
I got you.
Just,
So something that I try to do too with my designs is that I will design things so that I have a little bit of extra space typically, you know, because I would rather, for example, have, if I could go 25 feet and then be exactly 100 feet off of that leach field, I would rather have it be back at 15 feet, so that when they're drilling that, there's a little bit of leeway in terms of where they're putting it, or when they're putting the septic in, there's a little bit of leeway.
yeah, get it.
One way or the other, because you don't necessarily, you know, you don't want everything to be like, okay, it has to be
Right.
right here in this spot.
And then you
know,
get
so-
caught up in an as-built and find out this.
Right, and then all of a sudden you're
There's a problem.
99 feet off
Yeah.
the well, you know?
No, I get it, you
Yeah.
always leave a little wiggle
Yeah,
room
yeah,
when
yeah.
you can, but.
So,
No,
but I
that
will do
sounds
that
good.
on a case by case, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done for us this
Okay.
evening, and
Thank you.
appreciate your time. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you very much. And then next time, if you can, when you come see us, bring a
I
set of
will
plans.
do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome, thank you,
All
sir.
right, thank you guys, really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Gary, for hanging out with us while we did
No.
that. Next line item, we're gonna talk with Gary. Gary's in the house, and he's got some, looks like some filtration systems he wants to discuss with us, but I'll let him, take the lead and let us know what he has to talk about. So, Gary, go for it.
Great. All right, update on 54 Flint Road and the capping project. Jim signed today, or yesterday, the permit application for the, we have to submit to DEP to allow us to install the soil gas monitoring points associated with landfill. That was submitted yesterday to DEP. They have 75 days to review it. We've asked them to review it a little quicker. That will allow us to install the landfill gas monitoring points. I already have that work scheduled for the week between Christmas and New Year's. We've informed DEP of that. That's before the 75 days. If we don't have their approval, that's fine. We can push it out, but the drillers are busy, so I'm trying to get it locked in as quick as possible. That's ready to go. I will need to work with DPW and possibly the police department. We probably going to need a police detail because we're working right on the side of the road during the winter in a snowstorm, or not a snowstorm, but in winter conditions. So we will have a rig on the side of the road. We're putting these.
It's a narrow road too.
It's a narrow road, and we're going to be putting these wells 1 foot off the road. So we'll work that out through you guys.
Yeah, so, you're definitely gonna want a detail, even though that's probably a pretty good little straightaway. You should have it, just for the safety of the staff out in the street and all
Right.
that. I'd get the detail all day long.
So we'll talk, given that it's the municipality, I don't know how the funding and everything works, but I'll probably just work through Jim to talk to the police department, let them know.
Yep.
And I'll talk with DPW if we get a massive snowstorm, I'll ask them to plow it back for us.
Yeah, and
That-
with that being said, let's have that conversation because DPW might be able to put up a few signs and cones that would be equivalent to the police detail because it is a straightaway, so maybe they'll throw a guy there with their truck or something, so
Right.
that's, however you work that out, we're good with it, whatever
Yeah,
it
we
takes to keep
won't-
it safe.
Yeah, we won't work unsafe, but just
Right.
letting you know, that's scheduled and that should happen. So that's essentially what's going on there. We are working diligently on the design and the plan. The plan we showed you the other day of the landfill, there's one point that I think Bruce brought up, but I can't recall. On the south end of the landfill, we're probably gonna have to extend into the next property, which is the town's property, for the detention basin. So we're working on that design. We may have to push it a little bit. It's town property versus town property. So it's the detention basin for this landfill might be partially on 54 and partially on 90. It's kind of a moot point, but just to bring you guys aware that.
And wouldn't they say it was a cart path right there?
It's a car path, yep.
So it's
It'll
good.
all still work.
Yeah.
Everything will work. It's just probably have to push it a little bit that way.
But didn't, just my understanding of that whole conversation, don't we have to find out about the gases that could or couldn't be there to talk about that swale that's gonna end up over at that?
That's what we're doing the landfill gas for first. The basin that I'm talking about is the stormwater detention basin for the rain that hits the top of the landfill.
Right.
So that will be taken care of in that corner. That shouldn't have anything to do with the landfill gases. The concern of the landfill gases is if those landfill gases are there, are they gonna migrate to occupied homes? So in that direction, the only thing they'd migrate to is the wetland in your existing landfill.
Okay.
So it's not a concern.
I thought there was discussion about the swale right close to Flint Road and the fumes migrating into the road or potentially doing that, but that was why we wanted to drill that. But I thought there was, if the gases were present, I thought we had to do something to mitigate it.
And that's where Bruce talks about a gas venting trench along the road. If this testing shows no gas issues, then we don't need to design or think about that gas trenching.
Okay.
If this shows the potential, then we would probably have to design that in. There's a cost associated, not so much a design cost, but there's a pretty significant construction cost associated with that.
But that is unrelated to the ponds that you're talking about right now?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I thought they tied in together at the south end or whatever, that's why. I
No,
was-
no, this is just picking up the drainage on the top of the landfill to capture that. There is a swale on the side of that road. We're gonna grab some of that water, but a lot of that water just stays in that swale. And it goes to that same little wetland right there between the two landfills.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what's going on the design front. Everything's smooth. I have no concerns. Right now, we're on schedule. Bruce has been talking with Jim McQuaid, so we're good there. On this, the front of PFAS testing, it's ongoing. I haven't had to call Mr. Philbrook or text him with any new conditions. We are diligently through the second quarter of testing. Probably 75% of the second quarter of testing is done, and most of the data is very consistent. I have had a few homes that have gone from 3 to 9, but in general, if it was 3, it's 5, or if it was 3, it's 2, or if it was 5, it's 4. They're really staying very, very similar. So no surprises on that front. We did install 3 systems. Number 12 Old Town Road was installed on the 1st of November. They were away for a week, so what we do is like to let these sit for about a week and operate, and then we'll do the testing. And then 131 Burlingame and 138 Burlingame and 151 Burlingame were installed last Friday on the 10th. I have photos here that you guys can both look at.
John, you still there? John?
Yeah, I'm still here, sorry, I was on mute.
So there's
That's
photos for you guys to look
My
at.
phone just, I thought we lost you.
So if you look at these, here, there's a set for each of you. But if you look at these photos, so John, you hang tight here with me. If you look at the photos, the 2 larger white gray units are the carbon units. They just have a special carbon in them. The blue units to the left and right of those are called the big blue filter. One comes in right at the beginning of the house, so it's called the pre-filter. It takes out any sediment or heavy sediment, essentially iron, manganese a little bit if it's in particulate. Then it runs through the 2 carbon filters. There's a series of sample taps in between there. Then it goes through the big blue filter again at the end, and that's in case any carbon from the system gets out. We don't want them to be drinking carbon. It won't get out, but we put that in. And then at the top, the lateral thing is a UV disinfection lamp. So that lamp will disinfect the water to make sure that there's no bacteria in it. And on the right-hand side is a totalizing meter. So that totalizes the water, tells me how many gallons of water have been used. We use the totalizer so that we can look at the influent concentrations of contaminant, how much water they're using, and then we can calculate over time when we expect there to be breakthrough. So we'll test these next week. We'll get data in a few weeks, and then every quarter we'll test them. Once we do, or if we get to the point a couple years out where there starts to be breakthrough, we change out one filter, the front filter. We put the back filter in front of that, and we put a new filter in. So there's 2 homes here. We talked to the homeowners in advance. We moved a few things around with people, but this is what they wanted. I've spoken with both of them. They seem pleased so far. We've already scheduled the sampling of all 3 of these homes for this Friday. Residents have been very accommodating. Installations went well. We're right on track. So, any questions regarding the pictures?
I have a question, but not regarding the picture, but I think you're gonna get to it next, so I'm gonna hang tight and let you keep going.
The next thing, I know there's a note on the agenda to talk about J detections. and we'll talk about that. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is December is the sampling month again, so we will be sampling both landfills for everything in December. Did I hit your question? Is it Jay or is it something else?
Something else.
Do you want to ask?
I do. So, back on the design on 54 Glen Road, how are we making out with access agreements and your permission and the deeds and all of that stuff? Because we needed to get something from our town and our attorney and all of that. How are you?
Good question. Sorry, I did forget to talk about that. Very productive meeting today with Jim and Andrew and
When you say Jim Philbrook?
Jim Philbrook,
Yep.
Andrew Golis,
Kurt Meskis
Kurt
and
Meskis,
Randy.
and Randy, and the planning board. We pulled the plans out, talked about things, and Andrew was able to find a reference from the town clerk, I think is where he got it, showing the deeded access or deeded width of that road. It's not a deed, but it was from 1836. And they're trying to find minutes from the meeting that approved that. If we find that, I think the surveyor, that may be enough to answer that question.
Okay.
The access agreements, we spoke very briefly. I'm actually gonna get you the draft access agreement this week,
Okay.
for the one homeowner that we need that for,
The Jacksons.
Jackson's.
Okay.
So that takes you to access agreements. If we dead end, I'll have some more information this week. I'm gonna go then to the surveyor, make sure we can get everything we need. Because the surveyor has some latitude here, but he needs to stamp it and make sure it's accurate. So we think we might have enough.
So what was it, deeds from the 1800s that showed?
1836 or 26, when they approved the
36.
the alignment and the width of the road.
What's the width?
49.5 feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it in feet?
It wasn't in, it was written in feet.
Was
It's
it-
actually it's a handwritten
Yeah.
form.
Hmm.
I have a copy of it. I don't know if I brought it with me.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty
it's very
cool.
cool.
It is.
So Andrew was able to dig that up. We have some ideas on how to get this through.
How did he find that?
Just pull it
You
out.
talked to the right people.
Talked to the right
But no, we had a productive, very productive meeting.
Yeah, because we, like you said, if we don't get that stamp, DEP's not gonna let us.
Right,
DP will not approve this plan until it's on a plan of land that can be stamped and recorded.
right, I get it.
So we now have probably another 150 days, because we have 75 days for DEP to approve the soil gas points. And then we asked for 75 days after that to get the final plans and to incorporate that. So we're okay, we'll get there.
Old deeds, usually the old ones are what, in rods?
Yes, exactly.
And, you know, go to the hickory stump and it's in rods? How about
Yeah,
2 tokes on a pipe? That's old.
That's old. I have a set of rods.
You do?
I have a set of, yeah. I'll
We
bring,
were-
I'll bring them in, they're really cool.
16 feet, right?
I believe it is, isn't it?
16 feet is
I don't
for one
remember.
rod.
Yeah, I have the set, with it's metal, I'm trying to think if it's copper, I don't think it's copper. It's really cool.
We were looking something up for a forestry project once, and in the deed, in the language came 2 tokes on a pipe.
So I don't even know what that one is.
It's corn pipe, I don't know what kind of pipe, a corn pipe from the Pilgrims, I don't know. Whatever.
But
That was
we,
all.
we made some good progress there, so I think we're close, much closer there, and we're working diligently on that.
So,
That's essentially all I have for you guys.
PFAS has been quiet.
PFAS will find, J detections. What do you guys wanna know about J detections?
Well, I wanna know on the PFAS, right? Are we out of our 500-foot radius, or are we still waiting results, or what's, how?
We are
like-
not we have not extended any 500-foot radius at this point.
So it's over.
Well,
But it changes every quarter, right?
yes, that's the if we get another, if the 2 or 3 homes at the edge of the 500-foot radius, something different happens.
Then we have to extend it.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's never over, I'm sorry, Mr. Gagner.
No, but we were chasing it, and it was
Right.
like, we didn't have it close, and then all of a sudden on one side, seemed like the numbers, the further away from the landfill, the higher the concentrations we're getting, and it was, like, wait a minute, where's the source coming from? And
Yes, so the 151 and 138 Burlingame are not very far from each other, and they have a very similar fingerprint to what's in the landfill. So, it's okay, but that's consistent. There is clearly a situation going on in the Old Town Road area.
Mhm.
That needs to be further evaluated. You know, I'll bring up a point. There is a property at 11 Old Town Road that DEP is actually going after the homeowners, and that was a disposal site in the past, and it's a defunct property that's not been taken care of.
Is that to the left of the highway line?
Correct. The
Yeah.
property to the left of the highway barn. The only reason I bring it up is there was a recent submittal to the homeowners, and Jim brought it to my attention. I did take a look at it. I'm aware of that property. Jim and I have spoken about that property before.
I have too.
That property could potentially be a source of PFAS. I haven't brought it up in large detail because we have a landfill across the street that we have multiple hundreds of
Right.
parts per trillion PFAS in right now. So, I don't think it's prudent to go down that road right now, but I think we need to be aware of it, and we might be looking into that into the future to evaluate your concern, Matt, of where does the 500-foot radius stop and why does it stop? And that's why these homes that are just having either PFOA or PFOS, one detection, those are inconsistent with the 5 or 6 contaminants we're finding in the landfill, and we're making an argument to DEP that we're not gonna go further on those.
Gary, do you know why they had first names on this for the name? For the former owner, it's 2 first names, and I don't believe that's accurate. Those are first names.
So, I do know the answer to that. So, that site, under RE, is a site name.
Okay?
So when I call DEP and record a site, it may say 54 Flint Road landfill. I might say vacant property at 12 Smith Street.
Mhm.
Whoever identified that, they identified it as
Got it, Wayne and
whatever,
Wendell.
Wayne and Wendell.
I got it.
That's all that is.
So, so at a certain point, DEP was having a conversation with Wayne and Wendell, right? Location where non-compliance occurred or was observed. So that conversation, I don't know if Wayne and Wendell are alive anymore. And in fact, I know at least one of them is not. And I don't know the other one.
So, little off track from this
I know, I'm
discussion, but it is on track because it's relevant, because it relates to the question you just asked of, are we out of the 500-foot radius? When we do our job and we assess a site, we are obligated to look for those contaminants of concern at abutting properties. We're also obligated to look for other possible sites in the area.
Mhm.
That is a known disposal site. It's recorded on DEP. It's a defunct property that hasn't been properly assessed. And DEP has documents from the 1991 where there was significant contamination on the property that did not get handled. So that property could be additive to the PFAS we're dealing with. Therefore, at some point, we're gonna have to look into that. Hopefully someone else looks into it, we can look at their data and say, oh, you have PFAS of this fingerprint, therefore the stuff going in this direction with this type of PFAS is yours, not the town's landfill. Right now, you, the town, the landfill, have multiple, 300 to 700 parts per trillion in the landfill at 54 Flint Road and 100 to 200 parts per trillion in the landfill at 90 Flint Road. You are overwhelmingly the contaminant, the one who's responsible until we can show otherwise. What I can tell you about this property is I did a little research because it's relevant under this. It's changed ownership at least 5 or 6 times
Yep.
since that was done. DEP has been after multiple owners for it. I can't figure out, and I haven't spent enough time to figure out, there's a number 11 and a number 13 Old Town Road. The house is known, that we sample is 13. 11 is between 9 and 13, it's a little small parcel, and then there's an access way on the opposite side of 13, closest to the town's property, and there's a 19.5 foot access space through there to the 19 acres or 14 acres in the back. That, I think, is the area of concern. I don't know that the house in front, 13, is the area of concern. There was testing done in that house, soil gas testing, and they found contaminants 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and nothing's been done about it.
So I'm getting old and my memory is shot, but that house went up for auction at one time, as far as I remembered. And I, at the time when they were selling the house, because everybody said, oh, that might be contaminated land there because of what may or may not have been buried there, said it came with a clean 21E or something like that. Is that a folk tale that I'm making up myself here, or is that possible?
I looked at this lot for the town of Charlton. Robin was here, the town, the tax collector, it was a tax collecting thing, and they were looking at taking it. So I did some research, and we did not do a phase one on that, but we had looked at it, and the town decided not to go any further. So it's possible somebody did a report on it. I'm not aware of it. If it wasn't filed with DEP, we wouldn't have a copy of it.
I see.
But I find it very hard to follow the ASTM, the American Society of Testing Materials standard, to do a phase one on that site and say that it doesn't have a problem, because the first thing you do is look at the DEP database. When you look at the DEP database, Jim and I were on it today, there's 20 documents.
Yeah, at least 20.
Interesting. Okay, so
You know,
Okay.
the one thing we can say is there is a drinking water well on that property, and the concentrations are impacted, but they're not catastrophic.
And the fingerprint is similar to what we would expect from the landfill, or it's different?
Yeah, it follows the landfill one. So 13 Old Town Road is 11.7 and 12.2, and it has 1, 2, 3 of the PFAS 2 of the compounds and a bunch of J hits, very similar to what we're finding in the landfill.
And we do provide bottled water.
We do provide bottled water. So,
To 13?
Yes, 13. 11, there's no home.
Okay.
It's just a lot.
yeah. So, number 12, Old Town, was 14 and went to 26. We put the treatment system in.
Yep.
13 was 11, went to 12. 14 was 13, went to 19. 15, which is the dog pound, was 3 and went to 3. 16 was 7 and stayed at 7. So there's not a lot of fluctuation there. The fact that we have drinking water wells there that are not significantly more contaminated than elsewhere. So we're going to be talking about that one.
yeah,
I don't have an answer for you.
cool.
pitch it
Gary,
up
you
for you
have
guys.
anything else that you want to discuss? Are you good?
You guys have a note here about J detections. Can I help you with J detections? The questions?
I think the question was, somebody had questioned the board about, they had what I believe was a J hit in the water sample, I believe at their house, and they were requesting bottled water or a treatment system or something.
Mr. Chairman? John, the person that complained that I spoke to you about, did not have any detections because she wasn't tested. She just felt,
right, okay.
she just felt that seeing her neighbors, were getting water, that she felt that she should get water and we should test her. And I said there's
Okay.
no reason under the DP guidelines that we just start testing someone without, reasonable cause. So she was not happy, and I thought she may show up at the meeting, but she's not here. I told her things may change, they change, and if they do, we would test, but she's welcome to test on her own. And but the standard is 20. The people around her are very low, but it's because it's associated with a known cause, the landfill. So it didn't mean necessarily, even if she tested and it was over 20, she would have been responsible for her own filtration system, not the town. So she tried to understand that stuff, but I think she finally got it. She has not called back, and she did not show up to the meeting, so,
Okay, good, thank you, Jim.
okay.
So I did not have any questions on the J-hits. Go ahead, please.
May I please interject?
Yes, you can.
I think what brought this all up was, I think, Gary, you sent a text to Jim last week saying we got a J hit and you didn't know whether you should supply water or not because we had done it for someone else, and
Okay,
that's how it got put on the.
so I can answer that.
That was a hold.
Is that right?
That was a hold.
Yeah.
So Mass DEP has clearly said that a J detection is not a PFAS 6 detection. There's guidance out there that states that. This board, through some input from myself and from Jim and from Matt and from Andrew Golis, did decide to provide bottled water to one house that was adjacent to another house that had true PFAS detections, PFAS 6 detections, and there was information that suggested the two wells were connected because they fracked one well, or they did one well and water came out of the other well and there was connection,
And a dye test.
and a dye test or something, and that house had 4 of the 3 or 4 of the 6 PFAS compounds as J detections, and the homeowner requested it, and bottled water was provided. We have other homes that have had 1 detection that you haven't provided water to, but they don't have that same situation of being adjacent to a house with information that suggests the 2 wells are connected.
Correct. Yep. And as we discussed, as those came up, would be a case-by-case basis.
Exactly.
So, Andrea, thank you for that.
And I would like to elaborate one more thing on that. So that house, it's number 47 Flint Road. Let me just read these numbers to you. They're shockingly consistent. 0.98. This is the first number I'm gonna read is the first sample we collected in let's see, in June, and the next one is September. So these are 3 months apart. 0.91, 0.91, 0.624, 0.684, 1.4, 1.63, 1.21, 1.31.
Wow.
I mean, they're shockingly identical.
Hmm.
So, what that tells me is that water's stable, that whatever's going on there is stable and not changing. So, generally, I wouldn't read out numbers like that to you guys, but that is ridiculously consistent. So, that's all I have.
Your expertise is coming right out, Gary.
That has nothing to do with me. That's the lab.
You're getting excited over the numbers. No, good stuff. I can appreciate it. I'm just giving you that time. Okay, so that's all we have for Gary. If Gary has nothing else, Gary, as always, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave.
I'll stay until you finish, just in case anything comes up.
I
Yep.
think we did.
So Jim, I'm just gonna go right over to department head reports and whatever, if you need to address with Gary, go
I think,
for it.
if I may, Mr. Chairman, we did discuss a little about 13 Old Town Road. Gary and I looked into it because this was sent over by Kevin Dowse.
Mhm.
Certainly, that's something I'll continue to keep an eye on. We do provide bottled water there, but the Board of Health, years and years ago, were the ones that actually requested the DEP, from what information we found, to go in and do the testing. So, but no one ever followed up on it. It's been sold 5 times since then, so it's very hard for us to know that when the house is sold and what's going on. But I do feel bad for the residents there. Very nice people, hardworking, but it is the letter that comes from DEP is very threatening.
Yes.
But I think the issue is not at 13, it's at 11. So that's something I'd like to speak to Kevin about, because all their information and pictures that were shown were in the rear of the property, but there are detections that are extremely high of what, I think it was trichloroethylene.
Yeah, there's some indoor air or soil gas below the building of trichloroethylene and some other contaminants.
So we
So,
certainly
whole
don't want,
house.
I mean, they're aware of this, but we certainly want people to be safe living in their homes too, so they have a sense of responsibility. I think that's what Kevin's trying to get across to them, that this has never been followed up on and never resolved, so whether they need to do so. I will speak to her that I have it and see what we can do to help them out and move forward. They have come to the office asking, why they received this. They had just purchased this, but we looked at it today. It has a long history, so it's very difficult. But I'll keep the board updated on that. I'm not sure what we can do, but certainly, yeah, they are residents and we're concerned, we do provide them water, so we always worry about the safety. And if there's something else in there, we certainly want to make sure that they try and be diligent to test if they're living in a home that may make you ill or levels that high, that certainly we want to make sure that they're aware of it and they should do something about it.
I agree.
Other than that, that's about it. Like I said, Gary and I did look at this, and there's a long history, but it's really something that DP is pushing, and I'm not sure how far they're going to go with that. So I will speak to Kevin on that. As far as my other reports, everyone's working fine. Emily's working fine. They did go to a conference last week, the MHOA. They were down at the, well, I was not a week before. Well, I was away last week on a cruise, as you know, Mr. Chairman. And we're doing all the permitting is going out for food permits, truck permits, all that, haulers permits, stuff like that. Also, we worked on an issue Andrew did about as far as after December 30th for the trash issue in Oxford, that we had the ability to go to Webster, and it's posted on our site. Of course, you have to pay per bag, but they're willing to allow Charlton residents to go there. He did meet with Spencer last week as an alternate site. I'm not sure, I didn't speak to him on that specifically, where we are with that, as far as letting residents go there also. It's pay as you throw, pay as you throw. If someone doesn't choose to, hire a trash hauler, it's another avenue that they can just bring it there for some reason.
So, this land, Webster have a transfer station, was it
Yeah.
on Cudworth Road maybe?
Yeah, I think that is in Cudworth, yeah.
So they would go there with their trash and pay as they go
They could
per
pay
bag?
per
or-
bag, yeah.
Per bag.
Yep.
Well, it's somewhat of a solution,
It is.
you know?
And I think there's 100 to 200 people that use Oxford. It varies, but I think people realize, and they've been here, and the office is good about explaining to them that it was a contract it's up. It was a plus, it was a bonus,
Yeah.
but most people do pay for their own trash to get picked up. And there's plenty of people we can't recommend one, but there are a lot of good local haulers that are very good. I saw today, just getting out of the truck, actually picking up trash that fell over or an animal got into it. I think that's going above and beyond.
Yeah.
And I like to see that, it's, he just didn't pick up the barrel and not get out, physically got out of his truck that had hydraulic and went and picked up all the stuff.
Mhm.
And it was waste management.
Mhm.
But I said to him, thank you for doing that,
Good.
because we don't want trash blowing all over the place. We already have an issue as it is, so we certainly don't want to have an issue after this closes that people think they can improperly dispose of their trash on other people's property or anywhere. So we're trying to keep that consistent. We are working on our grants. It's reports that Andrea works hard on, and myself, we have to get together at the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. So we are trying to get up and make sure everyone's paid and the money's moving forward. We still have Michaela and Rihanna as a COVID contact tracing nurses. They're working with daycares in the schools and still checking Maven on a regular basis and moving forward on that. That's something that we're discussing about.
So that's reports for the existing grants that we have.
Yeah, we also have, of course, Mary Carpenter downstairs, our community health director. She does a great job.
Mhm.
She is doing a fantastic job working with the other towns within our coalition. Sturbridge and Sutton, as you know, do have people that have been brought in and placed in hotels. So she's been helping, and she's doing an excellent job. Emily is working on in Sturbridge and in Sutton and in Spencer and Wales, doing food inspections and hotel inspections.
Jim, let me ask you a question.
I think John was dumped.
No, I think that was my fault.
Oh, yours? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I know that the shelters have been filling up, and like you just said, Sutton and Sturbridge, whatever, the
Yep.
motels being full. Is there a specific area where these people are coming from?
Good question. I don't really know, because they arrive without knowledge of the municipality, and the deal is made with the hotel, owner of the hotel, and then they're in contact through the National Guard, because the towns felt that they were overwhelmed, and the National Guard actually sends people over to assist. All the stuff that's given to them is now stored in Worcester. And so if you wanna donate, that we had to have a central location. So now it's a Worcester location that if you need stuff, you ask for it and it's delivered to them. So we work through, trying to help them with placement and stuff, but as far as translation, we thought about getting someone to help with translation and stuff, but there's an app on your phone that works just as fine,
Yeah.
so.
I guess what I'm saying is that, are we seeing trends like, is it perhaps coming from the border through Texas up from Mexico, or is it like people fleeing from Ukraine, or like, is it like one specific
The
thing,
Creole,
or are they?
no, I believe they may be coming from the border, but also they've been in areas that, for a while trying to get in.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they're necessarily from the border, but I think New York asked for help. Boston, I believe, is a sanctuary city. Massachusetts, a sanctuary state. So the governor did take in some, but she did make an announcement that they were bringing in 7,500 more, but she had nowhere to put them.
I see.
So I think we're overwhelmed as other people, but I think that we worked on getting transportation using our van and getting seating in there so we could. The state's trying to buy 3 vans so we can assist to get them in places. The problem with our van is it's electric and the batteries are underneath, so we can't mount seats because you can't drill into it. So we're working on trying to get the funding for the seats that would mount to the side and pass inspection, that would properly seatbelt people. But you think in buses, they don't have seatbelts.
Yeah.
But in a van, you have to have seatbelts. It has to be safe, that wouldn't have any flexibility. So we discussed that through FEP. I was denied some funding with that for the seats, but we're not taking no for an answer. If they're gonna buy vans, the thing is, they don't let you buy vehicles, but there is a thing, and they're getting more lenient, because I could take 10 people with me and bring them to shop and bring them back. Problem is, transportation is one of the problems. They were, like in Sturbridge, they was 5 miles out to anywhere where they could go to CVS, get their prescriptions, gather things, whatever, and, you know, I wanted to offer the van, but you certainly can't pile people in a van without the proper seating.
Right.
So we're working on that. Now we're looking at other 3 vans that they want to buy at the state, because transportation is a big issue for them. And things to do during the day, like we could take kids to activity centers, like through a summer, bring them to Camp Foskett, do stuff like that. But right now, it's we're still working on that. I'm trying to resolve that issue. So we did request COVID test kits, and we ended up getting 16,500.
You said that.
And so we provided them from everywhere. We're keeping track on them, but we've provided them from municipalities all the way from Milford, that's within our coalition of Region 2. And we've provided to about 15 different municipalities.
That's good.
We can't use all those, we're
No.
sharing, but they made a mistake. They took the population number and added a little more. Instead of, I requested 500, and they sent 16,500, so. But they wouldn't take them back because they paid $6,000 for the delivery, and the DPW was nice enough to, Nick Peel, the new director, him and his guys came over, helped me out, and we carried them all on a nice hot day into the hall, only by the end of the day to take them back out, half of them at least, and give them away. But I think I appreciate the DPW stepping up and sending over 3 guys. Even had to bring the fork truck over to get them from the front to the back, because the driver cannot unload them by agreement. So, but we took them. We certainly still have more downstairs, but they're going quick. But other than that, that's about all I have. So.
All right. Catherine, do you have anything that you want to discuss?
No, sir.
John, you got anything on the discussion board that you'd like to discuss?
No, nothing from my end, thanks.
So let's maybe think about our next meeting. Today's November 14th. Let me see. We're looking in 2, 3, so 3 weeks, John, would be December 5. We can go 4 weeks, December 12.
Yeah, I prefer the 12 if possible.
What do you think, Catherine?
I am potentially having surgery on that day, so I will not be here, but that will totally work for you guys if you want. I am available on the 5th, but that surgery is tentative. It's not. for sure.
Not locked in. What if we went one more week to the 19th? Are we getting too close to the holidays?
That's fine with me as well. I mean, as long as I'm, you know,
I'm good with the 19th.
the 19th works for me too.
So, and then even, so if you have surgery on the 12th, even regardless of where you are, you're not gonna wanna be on the phone on a meeting, but if, say we do the 19th and then you're not out and about, but you can get on the phone like John
Absolutely,
is, then we
yeah.
can pull
You
it
can
off
call
that
my
way.
phone if you have to. And
Yeah, that won't be a problem at all.
So, John, let's pencil in, Gary, are you okay with that time frame?
12th, I have a conflict, I can make it if I need to, but the 19th or the 5th are preferred for me.
So why don't we kick it to 12/19,
Perfect.
and we'll pencil that in. If something comes up and we have to adjust it, there's time to do that, but for now, let's just go with that date,
Sounds good, thank you.
okay? If there's nothing else, does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second by John on the, remotely on the phone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. This meeting is adjourned at 7:07. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jim. And-
thank you, John.